Well, what was an incident-free month up until this point, unfortunately, is no longer. A major crash today involving Stefan Wilson and Catherine Legg, which has hospitalized Stefan Wilson. We'll talk about that and much more in this video. So this is the part about the Indianapolis 500 that we don't like to talk about, but unfortunately we had a major crash today and a driver ended up in the hospital. Now here's the good news. Stefan Wilson was awake and alert. He gave his thumbs up to the fans in the stands, but the official statement from IndyCar says that Stefan was transported to a local hospital for evaluation and advanced imaging, though he is in good spirits, as they said. Obviously, you guys know, personally, Stefan's one of the drivers on the grid that I would say I know the best. So knowing that Steph worked so hard to put this deal together, to get this together so early, and it has had this big of a setback, is unfortunate. Now, I don't want to speculate about anything that we don't know about yet, but we're going to have to see where this ends up. I'm sure there are a lot of storylines, a lot of question marks about this that we'll have the answers to soon. But suffice it to say, this is a big setback for the Dreyer Reinbold with Cusick Motorsports 2014. Let's talk about the crash. So going into turn one, there was a bit of a checkup. Everyone was kind of slowing down, including Stefan Wilson, Devlin DeFrancesco, among others. And for whatever reason, and Catherine even said in her post-crash interview that she slowed down, even went down a couple of gears, but for whatever reason, the 44 car approached the corner faster than the 24 car did, and calamity ensued after that. Both cars going into the wall heavily. Catherine Legg's car actually lifting off the ground. Thankfully, Dallara and IndyCar, I got to give them a shout out, made the right call in adding side pod wickers to the cars. I think that's what kept Catherine Legg out of the air longer than she was. But unfortunately, Stefan got into the wall head on, and that's where the damage was done, unfortunately, for Stefan Wilson. So we await an official confirmation about what's going on with Stefan Wilson. Again, the good news is he is awake and alert, in good spirits. I obviously haven't had an opportunity to talk to him yet. I'll be sure to do that. I've already sent him a condolence text message, so whenever he gets his phone, I'm sure he'll see it. But yeah, unfortunate, really unfortunate for that whole team to see it come together the way it did and end this way. The other question, of course, is the Rahal Letterman Lanigan team. Obviously, Catherine Legg will be ready and able to go for the Indianapolis 500. The question is going to be of her cars. And that's the other thing I think it's really worth mentioning. The rules in the past here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has been different for backup cars versus how they are now. In the past, if you had to go to a backup car, you were automatically sent to the back. What I talked about yesterday, the car used to qualify here. Now it's the driver. The driver qualifies, not the car. So if a driver were to be replaced in either the 44 or the 24, that would necessitate the car going to the back of the field. A chassis change would not. So if Catherine Legg or Stefan Wilson get to race in the Indianapolis 500 and they race in a different car, they will still start in their qualified position. So I hope that's easy to know. Now, today was the Monday practice session, a 2-hour session right about the time where the race will be about 50 laps in to around where the race will be in its closing stages. This is one of the most valuable practices for the Indianapolis 500 itself. Let's take a look at the results from today, just the top 6, who was fastest today. And in race conditions, Will Power at 229 miles an hour topped today over Dixon at his 229. Takuma Sato third, pole sitter Alex Palou fourth. Tony Kanaan in his final Indy 500 at the 227 mark, and Connor Daly also at 227. We had a few interviews today, and hopefully with some people you haven't heard from in a little while, at least one person I know you haven't heard from in a year on this channel. Let's start out with him, because one of the great stories of qualifying was the AJ Foyt Racing team. We talked to team owner Larry Foyt. All right, we're here with Larry Foyt, team owner at AJ Foyt Racing. Larry, I can't imagine that there's bigger smiles across this pit lane than in your team. How gratifying is it to have 2 cars in the Fast 12 yesterday?
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, we made a big winter effort to get speed back at Indy and get the Foyt cars up front. So we really wanted to be on that front row. We had a good shot, but we knew race day was more important than taking the risk of going for the pole. So we just put a solid run in there, starting 4th and 11th. Very happy.
Michael Cannon, just talk about him.
Well, he's fantastic. He really knows this place and loves this place, and he loves a challenge, and that's what we talked about when he wanted to come. And we're just he's been great and really leading our engineering group. And yeah, I mean, we've got still a lot of work to do, but this has been just refreshing to have fast cars back here at the Speedway.
It was amazing to see so many happy smiles in your crew, none bigger than AJ himself. How great is it for the big man to have this in such a trying time for your family?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head there. It's been a really tough 2023 for us, and so this has been a good distraction. Hard not to be able to call Mom after and talk about it, but happy.
And I just got to say, you know, for the Foyt, the whole Foyt family, my condolences. Obviously, they lost AJ's wife, Lucy, just a couple of months ago, right after the Texas race. And that family definitely, that team definitely racing with a lot more spirit this year. And you got to think that it's motivated by not just going fast on the racetrack. So salute to the Foyt team. We also talked to Callum Ilott, who I think was one of the great stories of qualifying, getting into a backup car, getting it up to speed. We talked to him after practice. Callum Ilott, I mean, incredible balls to qualify a couple of days ago in a backup car that you hadn't sat in. Just describe that for us before we talk about race setup.
Well, I mean, okay, I've said a lot previously about it, but even today we had 2 hours to make a race car, and we didn't make a very good one yet. And I managed to make a pretty good quali car in 12 laps. So, yeah, big bulls, some crazy qualifying runs that I've never done before in my life. I think I almost crashed 4 laps in a row on the first one and the last 2 laps on the second one. Yeah, big bulls.
What's it going to take to get that qualifying car back into a race car?
Quite a lot at the moment. It wasn't easy just then. We need to have a look, but again, with every new car, every new component, there's always differences, and it can be very sensitive. And at the moment, it is very sensitive, and we're just not in the window. You need to kind of bring it in the window mechanically, bring it in the window with aero, and that's sometimes a very hard thing to balance, because as you go faster, it changes, and then it becomes sensitive again. And yeah, it's a painful thing.
And R.C. Anderson, another great story. Easily in the field for Able Motorsports, and we caught up with him in the garage area as he approaches his first Indianapolis 500 start. R.C. Anderson, congratulations on making your first Indianapolis 500, and you did it on day one. Kind of proved a lot of people wrong. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, qualifying day, I was so nervous, and I don't know why I was so nervous. I mean, I went out, and the car was just so good. I mean, I came back in, and I was like, we might have to trim out more, because it's just like I moved the tools once on lap 1, and after that, I didn't really have to move them. And it's just nice and consistent 4 laps. I came back in, I was like, I think I came over the radio to them, I was like, I think we were a little conservative. I think if we have to, we can go back out and find another half mile an hour, I think. But we just wanted to ride it out. Our goal was to get in on day one, be in the top 30, and we were stacked 26, something like that, after all the first runs, and we only really dropped down to 27, 28, something like that, and then we were just there all day long. The only reason we were going to go back out is if we dropped to 31.
Yep.
So once we were ready to go, once we saw Stingray go out and we knew Lungard was next, we knew we wouldn't have a chance for a run, but we saw Stingray's first lap, and we were like, okay, we're good.
Big traffic running today. How'd you feel? I know there were a couple moments in traffic where it looked like you were pushing. Can you describe that for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first day I've really got to run in a pack like that and really get to feel that. And I'm going to be going through video for the next 4 days. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm doing this wrong, this right, and be going through the whole thing. So it's going to be more of a learning process for me. I think every day I'm in the car, the more laps I do, the more I'm just going to keep learning. Being aggressive with the tools. I mean, the first time I get all these tools at my disposal, plus you're doing the lifts and trying not to stack up and all these things. So there's so much going on, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
And for a lot of these guys, it's automatic because they've been doing it for so long, and it's so new to me. I'm just trying to make sure I don't make too many mistakes, clock the laps, and just get laps under my belt. That's the biggest thing for me.
And so, one of the unique things about qualifying at the Indianapolis 500, or at least the history books, is the fact that there always will be an oldest winner and a youngest winner. And we have a chance to break both of those records this year at the Indianapolis 500. Here's my thoughts. The average age of the Indy 500 field seems to go down with each passing year. That being said, the unique possibility exists within this year's starting field to break both the record for the oldest winner of the 500 or the youngest. The driver who still holds the record for the youngest ever winner is Troy Ruttman, who won the 500 in 1952 at the ripe old age of 22 years and 80 days. Ruttman's record is held fast for over 70 years and has withstood assaults from drivers like Colton Herta, who became IndyCar's youngest ever race winner at Circuit of the Americas in 2019 at the age of 18 years, 11 months, and 25 days. But Herta is now 23 and unable to become the youngest 500 winner. How time flies. 3 drivers in this year's field can beat Ruttman's record: David Malukas, Christian Lundgaard, and Stingray Robb. But each driver has their only shot to beat it this year. By May of 2024, each driver will be older than Ruttman was when he drank the milk in 1952. The record for oldest winner is held by the legendary 4-time winner Al Unser Sr., whose 4th victory came in the 1987 500 and made him the oldest winner at 47 years and 360 days, besting the mark set by his older brother Bobby in 1981. For the first time in years, 2 drivers could topple Big Al's record. Tony Kanaan in his last 500 and Helio Castroneves in his drive for 5 are both 48 years young. To put that in perspective, Scott Dixon, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Ed Carpenter, all age 42, would have to wait until 2029 to be eligible to beat Big Al's record. With 5 drivers eligible to break an age record this year, do you think any of them can do it? So like I said, the Monday practice session is one of the best for predicting race running conditions today. Got to sit over in the inside of turn 3 today. Haven't been able to do that all month long and just observe the race running today. I think my observations right now is the race is going to be between 4 different teams. I think you're looking at Arrow McLaren. I think you're looking at Chip Ganassi Racing. I think you're looking at Team Penske, who I thought was really strong in traffic. And I think the dark horse is AJ Foyt Racing, especially with Santino Ferrucci. He's never finished outside of the top 10. He's never started this high in the field. And the AJ Foyt Racing team always steps up their game here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I think it's going to be a fascinating race when we get to it. Things looked really packed up until they weren't, which I'm curious about, because it seemed like at times everyone was racing closer than they ever had before, but then it would spread out, and then it would kind of accordion back up. So I wonder how things are going to be affected with traffic, with tire wear, all of those sorts of things. The 2 strongest cars looked like, on the whole today, I would say would be Felix Rosenqvist and Joseph Newgarden. I still think Alexander Rossi's got a really good shot at the Indianapolis 500, but I think I'm just looking at Fief on that front row and going, you know what? And let's not count out Ganassi. I mean, I think every single one of their cars are going to be contender. I think every single one of the Arrow McLaren cars are going to be contender. It's a wide open Indy 500. It is wide open, at least at the front of the pack, as we could possibly imagine. But with the crash today, taking out a couple of cars and certainly, almost certainly backup car necessary for at least one of those cars, we're going to see a bigger field spread, I'm sure, with the race running versus qualifying. I think it was the closest and fastest field in history. Not necessarily expecting that in the race, but we'll have to wait and see. So the next time these cars are going to be on the track is on Friday. I'm living in the past. Friday for carburation day or fuel injection day if you're not like me and living in the past. So, you guys know we're going to have the best coverage of the Indy 500 here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching, but the coverage ain't going to stop just because the race cars aren't on the track. I guarantee you that. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.